In the professional wrestling world, match gimmicks and stipulation-based contests have long played a pivotal role in captivating audiences and enhancing the spectacle. Over the past several decades, fans have been treated to a remarkable array of creative match formats, some so well received and entertaining that they've become enduring staples within the industry, constantly returning due to popular demand and lasting appeal. However, not every innovation has enjoyed such success. For every iconic match type that has resonated with fans and stood the test of time, there are others that failed to capture the imagination or sustain interest. Concepts that, despite their ambition and intrigue, ultimately fell flat or were met with lukewarm receptions. A select number of these formats have made more than one appearance, even though they were not that well received. And then there's our topic for this upload: 10 match types that we got to see once and once only, where some of them were actually entertaining to some degree, whereas some of them were not. And in no particular order, let's dive in and see which one-time match types they were. First match type we come to is the one seen in the video's thumbnail, the Steel Stairs match. This was a stipulation introduced as an additional concept to the 2014 Tables, Ladders and Chairs pay-per-view. The contest was between The Big Show and Eric Rowan, where usage of the steel steps at ringside were legal, and pinfall or submission was the way to win. The bout unfortunately fell short of audience expectations and failed to deliver the level of excitement in comparison to the other match types associated with TLC event. From the opening bell, the match struggled to find its rhythm. The use of the steel stairs was frequent but uninspired, mostly consisting of basic strikes, throws and slams. The pacing of the bout was also slow, no doubt there, and the crowd's energy more or less dropped as the match wore on. So unlike the chaotic energy of traditional tables, ladders and chairs matches, this bout just felt poor. There were of course a few moments of physical intensity when both men used the stairs as weapons, but those spots really lacked the creativity and urgency needed to elevate the match. The finish came when Big Show pinned Eric Rowan, but even that outcome kind of felt predictable, given that Show had turned heel, yet again might I add, just 1 month earlier at Survivor Series, and normally freshly turned heels win at their first pay-per-view / premium live event following their turns. Not always, but normally. Fortunately, the Steel Stairs match was never revisited again in WWE programming, and the stairs gimmick for the Tables, Ladders and Chairs events was eventually dropped. Critics and fans alike mostly viewed the match as a failed experiment, obviously. It was an unnecessary gimmick that didn't enhance any intrigue. While we must always give those in creative some credit for trying something new, which is fine by the way, the lack of storytelling, chemistry and match quality made it clear that this stipulation is not one of those innovations that is worth repeating again. When the 2004 Summer Olympics took place in Athens, the WWE decided to play off the global sports buzz by introducing its own version of a relay match. On SmackDown's August 12, 2004 episode, they announced the Summer Games relay match, which was a 6-man tag team match but with a twist, in which the match was to be divided into 5-minute intervals, and after each period, a coin toss determined which team could substitute a fresh competitor. The contest would continue in this fashion until either a single pinfall or submission occurred. So with the time periods, this match type to me had elements of the War Games match. This format I feel was a clever attempt to inject novelty and interest into the go-home show before the 2004 SummerSlam. It combined the pacing of a gauntlet match with the strategy of tag team wrestling. In the match, we had the team of John Cena, Rob Van Dam and Charlie Haas take on the trio of Rene Dupree, Luther Reigns and United States Champion Booker T. The match built towards an escalation, with all 6 men eventually getting time to compete, leading to a chaotic final stretch, and in the end, John Cena scored the decisive pinfall win when he pinned Booker T with a roll-up. This match type, I felt, did serve its purpose as a crowd-pleasing spectacle. The relay format, however, was never used again, making this match a one-off curiosity in the history of WWE. I admit it was a fun experiment that didn't overstay its welcome in the wrestling world. The Summer Games relay match was a creative and well-executed concept that deserves more recognition, at least I feel it should. It wasn't by any means groundbreaking nor a 5-star masterpiece, but it was a refreshing change of pace that showcased the WWE's ability to adapt and entertain. With timed intervals, strategic substitutions, and a mix of styles, it offered a unique viewing experience that stood out from the usual 6-man tag team formula, and I would not be against seeing this match type make a return. The Elimination Chamber is one of WWE's mainstay bouts and another cool gimmick match that we all enjoy. Outside of the traditional 6-competitor concept, we've been treated to tag teams competing inside the chamber as well. Another modified format that the WWE tried in 2006 came at the ECW brand exclusive pay-per-view, December to Dismember, and that had the Extreme Elimination Chamber. It was tailored to fit the theme of ECW's hardcore format. Each of the interior pods contained not just a competitor, but a weapon as well, which consisted of a steel chair, a crowbar, a table, and a barbed wire baseball bat, while the 2 who started the match would have no weapons to use. The idea was to blend the brutality of ECW with the structure of one of WWE's most punishing match formats. It was a bold concept, and on paper, it had everything all set up: talent, weapons, and a championship on the line. But eventually, what unfolded was a match and an event to that matter, which became synonymous with missed opportunities and backstage turmoil. One of the participants that was supposed to be in the match was Sabu, a real ECW legend who could have pulled off some excellent spots inside the chamber. But instead, he was removed from the match, reportedly due to poor booking decisions, and it angered fans a great amount. He would end up being replaced by Hardcore Holly, a capable veteran in the ring, but not someone associated with ECW's extreme methods. That to me was the first misstep of this chamber match. The next misstep came when CM Punk was the first to be eliminated, a decision that drew heavy criticism, especially since Paul Heyman had lobbied for Punk to win the match and become ECW champion. But instead, the match would eventually be won by Bobby Lashley, who became the new ECW champion. The match itself eventually was widely panned, and I definitely agree that this is the weakest of all the Elimination Chambers. The crowd was disengaged, and critics really criticised the booking decisions, the pacing, and lack of ECW authenticity. This all led to Paul Heyman quitting the WWE shortly after the pay-per-view, due to creative disagreements over the match's outcome and direction. The Extreme Elimination Chamber was a concept with potential, and in theory it could have been at least decent, but its execution at December to Dismember turned it into a cautionary tale. The combination of poor promotion, questionable booking, the featured weapons being underutilised, and probably backstage politics as well, overshadowed what could have been a landmark moment for the ECW brand. Another match type that had a one-time modification came at the 2009 Bragging Rights pay-per-view, the Anything Goes Iron Man match between Randy Orton and John Cena. By late 2009, the rivalry between John Cena and Randy Orton had become one of WWE's most intense and enduring feuds, and one of my favourites too, might I add. The two had battled in multiple stipulation matches throughout the year, including Hell in a Cell and I Quit, each escalating in brutality and emotion. Bragging Rights would get billed as the final chapter of their rivalry. The match itself was a roller coaster of physical punishment, psychological warfare, and strategic pacing, and maybe one of the best Cena-Orton matches throughout their rivalry. The match came to a close when John Cena got the win when Orton submitted to the STF with seconds to go on the clock. The Anything Goes Iron Man match at the 2009 Bragging Rights is remembered as one of the most compelling Iron Man matches in WWE history. A blend of technical wrestling, hardcore elements, and emotional stakes made the bout a gripping hour-long saga. Cena and Orton's chemistry was undeniable, and this match served as a fitting climax to their feud, at least for the time being, given that they would end up in even more feuds with one another yet again years later. One of wrestling's most bizarre and maybe somewhat controversial match types, the Eye for an Eye match from the 2020 Extreme Rules event, officially branded as the Horror Show and Extreme Rules. This stipulation came to light from a storyline in which Seth Rollins had previously driven Rey Mysterio's eye into the steel steps, causing a storyline injury. The feud between Rollins and Mysterio had been simmering for months during the dark days of the COVID pandemic. Rollins, in his role as the delusional Messiah, had targeted Mysterio as a sacrificial figure, leading to the infamous steel steps incident. The Eye for an Eye stipulation was set up as Rey's ultimate revenge, a chance to inflict the same pain that Rollins had caused him. And that was how you won the Eye for an Eye match, by extracting an eye from your opponent. Mysterio used his agility to keep Rollins off balance throughout the contest, but in the end, Rollins grounded Mysterio's eye into the steps, this time to the point of quote-unquote extraction. Rollins, visibly disturbed by his own actions, vomited at ringside while Mysterio was tended to by medics. While the WWE aimed for horror-themed spectacles, many fans felt the concept undermined the seriousness of the feud. The use of special effects and the lack of a live crowd further diluted the impact, and it also remains one of the most infamous gimmick matches in modern WWE history, memorable for its absurdity more than its drama. Another one of WWE's attempts to blend cinematic horror with in-ring brutality came at the 2017 Payback Premium Live event. At WrestleMania 33, Randy Orton defeated Bray Wyatt for the WWE Championship, and this led to Wyatt, still reeling from his WrestleMania loss, challenging Orton to a match in his own domain, a place where he claimed Orton's strength would falter, the House of Horrors match. A concept that was shrouded in mystery, with WWE teasing psychological torment and supernatural elements. Orton would accept the challenge despite not knowing what awaited him. This was a concept that would be split into two parts, with a pre-recorded segment at a decryptic house filled with disturbing imagery and chaotic brawling, and culminated with a live conclusion inside the ring, where the match would officially end. And although Randy Orton was the WWE Champion going into the bout, the title itself was not on the line, as Bray Wyatt had been drafted to the Raw brand. Orton arrived at the house in a limousine, greeted by flickering lights, eerie music, and Wyatt lurking in the shadows. The house itself was filled with unsettling imagery. The two brawled through the kitchen, the living room, and the hallways, and the house kept changing colour from blue to red as Wyatt exited. The pre-recorded part of the bout ended with Bray Wyatt heading off in the limousine that Orton had used to get to the house. When it came to the live part of the match, Wyatt appeared battered but determined. Orton then showed up and attacked with a steel chair. Just as Orton seemed poised to win, the Singh brothers, Sunil and Samir, interfered, followed by Jinder Mahal. The latter was due to challenge Orton at Backlash for the WWE Championship. Mahal would end up using Orton's WWE Championship belt as a weapon, and this allowed Wyatt to hit the Sister Abigail and score the pinfall win. Some folks criticised the execution of this match as awkward and overly theatrical. The pre-taped segment kind of felt a bit disconnected from the live action, and the interference-heavy finish diluted the impact of Wyatt's win. The House of Horrors match remains a bold experiment, but one that just didn't seem to fully resonate with fans or critics alike. This was a match from WCW as an attempt to create a mega stipulation that would serve as the ultimate battleground for Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage against a massive heel alliance. The cage itself was a towering 3-tier structure placed beside the entrance ramp, with each level containing different members of the heel team, which were dubbed the Alliance to end Hulkamania. The way the match would go was that Hogan and Savage had to fight their way down through each level of the cage, defeating opponents as they descended before finally reaching the ring at the bottom tier for the final confrontation. The bout began at the top tier, where Hogan and Savage faced off with Ric Flair and Arn Anderson. As they progressed down the cage, they next encountered the Barbarian, Meng, Kevin Sullivan and Lex Luger, all within the middle section. The final bottom tier of the cage featured the duo of Zed Gangster, formerly known as Zeus in the WWE, and the Ultimate Solution, who portrayed Bane in the awful Batman and Robin movie. Despite the overwhelming odds, Hogan and Savage emerged victorious, defeating the entire alliance in a match that maybe leaned more towards spectacle than competitive. The Doomsday Cage match in WCW is widely regarded as one of the most convoluted and poorly executed matches in pro wrestling history. It was poorly received for its incoherent layout, lack of in-ring psychology, and overbooked finish. Even the commentary team at times sounded like they were struggling to keep track of the action. While the match was ambitious in scale, it failed to deliver a satisfying payoff and became a symbol of WCW's tendency to prioritise spectacle over substance. A combination of poor lighting, unclear transitions between cage levels, along with a complete lack of structure or logic, and rules seemingly made up on the fly, the Doomsday Cage match remains a cult curiosity among wrestling fans, a match so bizarre that it's still discussed decades later as a cautionary tale of overbooking gone wild. This match, which occurred at the 2004 Great American Bash, was less about athletic competition and more about psychological torment. The storyline leading into the event saw Paul Heyman take control of The Undertaker's longtime manager, Paul Bearer, holding him hostage in a glass crypt rigged to be filled with wet cement. The crypt was placed at ringside, and Heyman promised to drown Bearer in concrete if Undertaker didn't follow his commands during the match. Billed as a concrete crypt handicap bout, The Undertaker faced off against the Dudley Boys, who were aligned with Heyman. But the real focus point of the match evolved around whether Undertaker would sacrifice his mentor to win or obey Paul Heyman to spare him. The in-ring action was secondary to the looming threat of Bearer's fate. The Dudley Boys used their tag team expertise to isolate and punish Undertaker, whilst Heyman barked orders from ringside, demanding that the Phenom lay down or show submission. The Undertaker, defiant and stoic, fought back and delivered a tombstone piledriver to Devon Dudley to secure the win. But after the match, despite winning and seemingly saving Paul Bearer, Undertaker approached the crypt, stared at his longtime manager and said that he had no choice, and eventually pulled the lever himself, releasing the concrete and burying Bearer in the cement. Much of the footage of Paul Bearer in the crypt during the pay-per-view broadcast of the show was actually pre-taped beforehand, while a stunt double stood in for Bearer in the crypt when the match took place live. This is yet another match that was widely criticised for its theatrical excess and lack of wrestling substance. While the visual of Bearer being entombed in cement was memorable, many considered it to be too dark, too bizarre and too far removed from the spirit of competition, something I feel too was distracting throughout the match. This one is a modern twist on the classic Inferno match, but with a key difference. Instead of having to set your opponent on fire, like what would normally happen, the flames were used to prevent outside interference, whilst pinfall or submission was the way to win a Ring of Fire bout. The match was designed to showcase Bray Wyatt's eerie persona and mark his in-ring debut on WWE pay-per-view. Bray Wyatt had recently debuted on WWE programming with his cryptic promos and unsettling presence, flanked by Luke Harper and Eric Rowan. Kane, known for his own fiery legacy, became the target of Wyatt's twisted ideology. The Ring of Fire match was booked to take place at the 2013 SummerSlam, allowing Kane and Wyatt to settle things one-on-one. Now, despite the fact that Kane planted Wyatt with a hat-trick of chokeslams, which usually would be enough to end the bout, along with the flames surrounding the ring, Harper and Rowan managed to interfere by covering up the flames with a fireproof blanket and entering the ring. That really undermined the whole concept of the match, but it allowed Wyatt to capitalise on picking up the win over the Big Red Machine. While the fire effects were impressive, as in the usual Inferno matches, this one itself was short and somewhat underwhelming. The interference, despite the fire around the ring, felt like a bit of a letdown, especially since the stipulation was meant to prevent all sorts of interference. Still, it kind of served its purpose by establishing Bray Wyatt as a major character and advanced the Wyatt family storyline. Another of Bray Wyatt's matches was the Pitch Black match, which was created in partnership with Mountain Dew to promote their Pitch Black flavour. While the NXT brand had put on lights out matches for their Halloween Havoc events, which in terms of presentation may seem familiar to this match, this Pitch Black match was heavily stylised, taking place under black light conditions that made the ring ropes, gear and graphics glow neon. There was also no disqualification, allowing weapons and brawling outside the ring. Bray Wyatt had returned with cryptic promos and unsettling vignettes, accompanied by the mysterious Uncle Howdy, a masked figure whose motives were unclear. LA Knight, who was portrayed as brash and cocky, mocked Wyatt's theatrics and challenged him to a fight at the 2023 Royal Rumble. The Pitch Black match was announced as a way to settle their feud and showcase Wyatt's new direction. The match itself was short, which was a bit of a letdown, but visually striking, I must say. Under the black light, Wyatt's face paint and gear glowed with eerie intensity. Bray Wyatt won the match, and afterwards Wyatt stalked LA Knight through the crowd, which culminated in Uncle Howdy diving off a platform, crashing onto LA Knight as pyro exploded around them. While the match was praised for its unique presentation and theatrical flair, many felt it lacked substance and clarity, along with maybe minimal in-ring storytelling left some underwhelmed, though the post-match segment with Uncle Howdy added intrigue. And so, that is it for this video. If there are any other one-time match types that I did not bring up in this video, then please do let me know in the comments below.